Tonight's programme, dear viewer, comes live from the Devil's Punch Bowl here in the heart of Norfolk, where you can see there's lots of vegetarian for all the birds concealed therein. Dear viewer, there's nothing quite like the sound of birds coughing. Cue titles! As we see live here this evening, the entire audience out here as we spot birds. Now, it seems to be fairly quiet here at the moment. Oh, I've seen one over there. Shh, let's see. Yes, there's a lesser spotted beak. Yes, and there's a great tit over there. Can you see that one? In fact, there's two. Yes. Oh, that's more of a pussy bird, isn't it? My God. Right. Do you know, I've forgotten what we're doing now, but I think I'll just go back over here. Right, ladies and gentlemen, please will you welcome Kooki! Competition, come on, let's do this, and then I can get back to the bird watching. Ah, right, OK. Now, Jane Hall, you do it on the front.
OK, the winner for last week is Mrs. Jane Hall from Deesborough Catering, North Hampshire.
Absolutely, beautifully done. And the question for this evening's programme is to win yourself a wonderful holiday on either the Canary Islands or in the Mediterranean.
And the question is, which of the following birds weighs the least? Is it
Wait,
A?
hang on, let's sink it in so the dear viewer at home may have had a couple of drinks.
Right.
Might just be going through a curry.
Yeah.
OK. What
No,
is the...
which?
I was going to say, what is the least weighty bird?
OK.
Can't you say that?
I can. What is the least weighty bird?
Yeah. Which of the following birds weighs the least?
OK.
A pair of...
Ostriches.
A pair of...
Turkeys.
Or, this is my favourite, a pair of...
Tits.
Right, ring us on 0891 48 49 50 any time till midnight on Sunday. Now, listen. I haven't quite got with me the survival equipment that the pilot who bailed out over Bosnia had. And if you think I'm eating bugs to stay alive, you've got another thing coming. But if the authorities find out we've been growing this here, we're going to be in big trouble, I can tell you. Now, where's Andrew Flintham? He's around here somewhere. Andrew! Andrew, is that your CD?
Yeah.
Yes, OK, fine. Right, OK, now, Andrew, you've recorded the Breckland's Dawn Chorus.
That's correct.
Why?
Well, because we've noticed that you can hardly go anywhere now and listen to wildlife without hearing traffic, aircraft or industrial noises in the background. So this is a way that people can enjoy the countryside in their own homes or in the cars without going to the country.
Well, yes. I'm very glad you said that. Very, very glad, yes. Now, so this is what they call ambient birdsong.
That's correct.
And it's being used to help heal people. Can we get around here a bit? Because, you know, I think we should see more of the countryside whilst we're out here on a live OB. Piss off back a bit, will you? Don't you think? It's getting a bit clogged up here, you know. Anyway, go on.
Yeah, basically
Yes.
used for all sorts of different things. I mean, you can use it to relax too. You can use it while you're doing your homework. You can use it while you've come home, when you've come home from work. You can pour yourself a martini and things. You can listen to it in the bath. It's even being played in hospital operating theatres.
Bill Oddie isn't around, is he?
No, I haven't seen him anywhere.
Thank God for that. No. OK, that's good. Yes. Now, I think we've got, because, you know, we've managed to take a leaf out of the BBC's book, you know, with all this hospital watching and stuff like that. Right. We've actually managed to get a link back to Mike Everett. Hello, Mike.
Hello, James.
Are you there?
I am here.
Good, good. Well, Mike, we're here in Norfolk listening to this beautiful bird song recorded by... yes, yeah. Fine. And actually, there's a serious side to this, really, Mike, isn't there?
Yes, there is.
Because...
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these birds which we take for granted are not quite as numerous as they used to be. So there are definitely serious sides to it. Yeah.
So what now, people will laugh, and you'll hear them laugh when I say this to you, Mike, but I think it's all down to the pussy population.
Not entirely, no. They take a little bit of the blame.
They didn't laugh at all.
Certainly.
But I thought that the domestic cat... This is a serious point, actually, I wanted to make, because the domestic cat now is kept in such abundance by people who have no control over these things that they go out and they're just desecrating the bird population.
I'm afraid they do kill millions of small birds, yeah? I mean, that is absolutely true. But, you know, there are lots of other problems I would suggest are a bit more serious than that, mainly to do with the places where birds live. You know, they're losing their feeding, their nesting areas, habitat.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you think that this endangered earth ambient bird song is going to make people more aware of the problems that the domestic garden songbird and the pheasant on the front of the is having?
Well, I hope so, yeah. I mean, I'm in favour of anything that makes people more aware of wildlife around about them, and certainly to appreciate the beauty of it, the joy of listening to bird song, and perhaps to realise a bit more about you know, their responsibility to do something to help. It's
not all bad news, though, is it? It's, I mean, some birds are on the increase.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, perhaps about a quarter of the birds which nest with us are in trouble in one way or another, but the other side of the coin is there are an awful lot of other birds which are doing very well, especially some of our rarer ones, the ones that conservation people have been putting a lot of work into in recent years. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, it's not all doom and gloom.
Somebody said because of the excitement of being out here in Norfolk, I forgot to say that you're actually from the Royal Society for the Protection of Birds.
That's correct, yeah.
How do you and your, I think it's about 860-something thousand members spend most of your time?
How do they spend most of my time? Basically, I mean, I suppose above all else, they're giving us their support. You know, we are a national organisation. And having that many people, I mean, it's pushing up towards 1 million membership mark now, which is pretty fantastic. To have that sort of public opinion, that sort of public voice, that sort of public support behind you, not to mention the financial resources it gives you as well, means that you can actually do things for bird conservation. You know, you can actually be a positive force for the good.
Yes, well, that's great. Thank you. I've got to go back, Mike, because I'm busy with Andrew.
Okay.
Flintham, looking at birds and things, wildlife and stuff. So thank you very much indeed, Mike.
OK, James, good luck.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Of course, you never know where your next ornithologist is coming from, do you?
That's true, yeah.
In fact, funnily enough, I saw a lesser-spotted chuck over there somewhere. Can you... Over there. Are they very common or not? There, look, there.
They're actually very rare indeed.
Are they?
Yeah.
Very rare indeed.
They're real characters as well, as you can see.
This black pussy that we've got down here, this actually is a danger to some of these birds, isn't it?
I wouldn't think that one is.
No? Well, you never know. And yes.
I'd like to take it back to my garden and try it out, actually.
Would you?
Yeah.
Yes.
And I'll feed it as well.
Well, and perhaps you give her a copy of the new endangered... Yes, the new video of the C thing.
The CD,
yeah. Good.
Right,
okay. Yeah. All right, well, thank you very much indeed.
Yeah.
And may you have a lot more fun. Have my binoculars.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Right.
And I'm going to go now from the Devil's Punch Bowl here in Norfolk. Where's the camera? I'm going to go from the Devil's Punch Bowl here in Norfolk, by the miracle of modern science, back to the studio. Well, listen, it's a job, isn't it, for God's sake? I mean, it's... thank you. That's very nice. It's hot out there today. It's a really bright, sunny day in Norfolk, and all those people out there have an enjoyable time. What have we got next, Simon? Shout at me.
Music, sir.
Oh, music? To soothe the savage beast?
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, the incredible Judith Sim.
There she flaunts it down the street. Swinging thighs, they hypnotize and keep you running for the beat. Crazy color-coded eyes send messages your way. Your fascination is complete. Streetlights, they capture curves, spectacular. But if she wants it, she'll get in your car. You know you'd love to play with the wild and wacky babe. Sweet naive, she is not, with 1,000 parts to play. She's a wild and wacky babe. She contemplates the many lives she's wrecked along the way. She's a wild and wacky babe. Oh, see behind the satin frills, a see-through heart to match her underwear. She's trading promises for thrills. It's a Weller and Saturday, yeah, for the wild and wacky babe. Sweet naive, she is not, with 1,000 parts to play. She's a wild and wacky babe. She contemplates the many lives she's wrecked along the way. She's a wild and wacky babe. Today, make it everything you ever wanted to be. Now you're going all the way. You lose yourself one day. Sweet naive, she is not, with 1,000 parts to play. She's a wild and wacky babe. She contemplates the many lives she's wrecked along the way. She's a wild and wacky babe. She's a wild and wacky.
Judith Sim and Wild and Wacky Babe. And let's look at your tootsies. Let's have a look. No shoes. Very, very nice. She'll be back later with another tune, and maybe we'll have another look at her feet. Before the break, which of the following birds weighs the least? Is it a pair of ostriches, a pair of turkeys, or a pair of tits? And call us on 0891 48 49 50, and you could be winging your way to a place in the sun. I haven't finished yet. Hang on. Join us again in part 2 when we meet a rock and roll icon and legend. See you in a couple of minutes. welcome back. I see, actually, we're very lucky tonight, actually. We have a first of one of these new soft focus cameras that a lot of newsreaders, apparently, I've read in the press, are using, and it does take years off you. Very good, too. It's much better than plastic surgery. Now, my next guest, with a pioneering combination of dirty, sexually obsessed lyrics and demented stage antics, not unlike my own programme, my next guest took the New York rock scene by storm in the early 70s to become the first transsexual rock star. Here to discuss her autobiography, Man Enough to Be a Woman. Please would you welcome the rock and roll Cleopatra herself, hopefully not too much for colour television, formerly Wayne, now Jayne County.
Got my chin, that's very bad.
Jayne, that's lovely. Would you like the soft focus, darling, or not? Or would you go for it full frontal?
I think I do need the soft focus.
Do you think so? Please, please come here. Join me.
Got
Join me.
Can I get close to you?
Now, listen. Please come as close as you like. Come as close. Look, reading the book, I'm surprised you're still on this planet. I mean, after the life you've led in this book, I'm surprised you actually are still here. Sex, often, drugs, rock and roll.
And rednecks.
Abuse and rednecks, yeah.
Yeah. Well, the truth of the matter is, in the early days, when I was exploring my transgender identity in Atlanta, Georgia, we had to learn how to run very fast. It wasn't just the rednecks who was after us, it was the police as well.
I mean, are they as bad as you make out, those guys down there?
It was pretty bad in the 60s, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, we had to hide behind trees, you know. We'd hide behind... There'd be a police car coming down the street, and we had a nickname. We'd say, Alice Blue Gown is coming, Alice Blue Gown is coming. We'd stand behind a tree, and as the cop car would drive like this, we'd be behind the tree, sort of doing like this, as the car came around the tree. You know, so they would arrest you. Now, in Atlanta in the 60s, they had a law that said if your hair touched the tip of your ears, if a man's hair touched the tip of his ears, he could be arrested for female impersonation.
Really? So you moved to New York around that time?
Yes, we were always getting arrested and having our heads shaved.
What was New York like?
Oh, New York was a revelation.
In fact, you bumped into Andy Warhol, or you actually engineered the meeting, or what?
Well, I was hanging out at Max's Kansas City, which is a famous New York underground haunt. And Andy Warhol used to hang out there along with the Velvet Underground and the New York Dolls. All sorts of people would walk in, Janis Joplin, Jimi Hendrix, everyone in the world. But also hanging out there would be like art dealers, drug dealers, speed freaks, mixing, you know, low life mixing with supposedly high life.
At this time, you were still a man?
I was...
Or still a kind of man's bits, anyway?
I was considered male.
Yeah.
But it was a very debatable question in everyone's eyes at the time, I think.
Did you think of yourself as a woman then?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Now, you took part you were in Andy Warhol's film Pork, which was an interesting thing.
Stage production, yeah.
Which got quite a lot of bad press, didn't it, one way or another?
When we came to England, we played the Roundhouse. We got a lot of bad press because one of the girls in the play, she had this act where she comes out and when she would twirl these little twirls on the tips of her thingies, right? Yeah, and for publicity, she went up to Buckingham Palace and stood in front of Buckingham Palace and did her act and was arrested.
That's a shame. If she'd done it now, of course, they'd have all joined in. Yes.
So we got all this bad press, and everyone came down to heckle. But well, we had people coming down to cheer as well. We had loads of famous people. The audience loved us. The press hated us.
But the audience were there.
Every night.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think, when I read through the book, I was amazed at some of the things you did. I mean, some of the, you eating excrement on stage was, I mean, I can't believe you actually did that.
That's not true.
It's not true?
No, it was dog food.
Oh, right, okay. It was dog food. Yeah. You were dressed as a human wig at the time.
For one part of the show, I was dressed as a human wig. Another part of the show, I was dressed as a garbage dump.
A garbage dump?
Yeah, a garbage dump. Yeah, I wore garbage. Yeah. Another part of the show, I sat on a toilet, and I pretended to duty. It wasn't real duty. It was Alpo dog food. And by this time, a lot of times, the whole place would be empty anyway, so people would run in horror, dragging their boyfriends out. This is sick. Don't look at her. Don't look at her. At least they said her.
1977, you relocated to London.
Yeah.
You'd had enough of all that.
Yeah.
Was it before that you went to Berlin?
I've been going back and forth to Berlin for many years. You know, the punk thing in London was more better for me. It was more showy.
Yeah.
The rips, the safety pins, the leftover David Bowie eye makeup, you know, from the glam period, the spiky hair. The New York scene was more arty.
Now, when you went to, I mean, you don't mind because you've written it in the book. When you went to Berlin, you started working in a transvestite whorehouse for a while.
Yes, that was very interesting.
Doing tricks.
Yeah,
I mean, what made you actually, it's a serious point, not a joke, you actually went there, you gave all this up, and you decided to become a whore. Why?
Well, I didn't actually decide to become a whore, but I had sort of, I was pinching my pennies at the time, and I needed a new wardrobe. Not pinching my penny, my pennies. Pennies. I have two, darling.
He's always on about them, don't worry. So, I mean, what was it like working on? What sort of guys that came in there? Did you sort of...
They were usually guys that were, believe it or not, I explained this in the book, most of them were married, and they would sneak off for a little time with a transsexual. The whole thing was to get the money and to do as little as possible.
Did you do as little as possible?
Oh, yes, as little as possible. We'd move the clocks up an hour.
Really?
And then we'd start screaming, your wife is going to kill you if you don't get home, you know.
There's a lot of heartache in the book, and there's also, you know, you sort of pour yourself out, and obviously there's quite a lot of sadness. Is the sadness still there or not?
No, I don't. Where is that in the book?
Well, it came across to me that you know, you were quite sad. Underneath it all the bravado and everything else, you felt that people are giving you a hard time.
No, not really a hard time. You know, you have to lift your head above it. I mean, sure, you could get hassle in the streets from people, you know.
Could you go back to your hometown, for instance? And
yeah, I went back.
You went?
I went back, yes.
Because now you're a woman, you're a complete transsexual now?
No, I decided at the last moment not to have the full sex change. I had reached my level of transsexualism, and I didn't feel it was necessary to get the whole sex change.
What about the future after the book? You've got a CD out, and will you be back performing or not? Musically
I
performing?
am performing. I'm doing a tour here in England, playing all over Scotland as well. I have a new CD out called Deviation, and Part 2 compilation album, Let Your Backbone Slip, and of course my book, Are You Man Enough to Be a Woman?
Jayne County, it's a fascinating book, and thank you for talking to us about it. Ladies and gentlemen, Jayne County! Actually, just before we finish, hang on, I tell you, I had to ask you, there was a bit in the book, and they said, you wouldn't tell me anyway, but they said there was a night up in the north of England, you and a football team, that you didn't mention the name of this football team. Was that true?
It wasn't in the north of England. It was a northern team. I'd get in trouble.
Yes, OK, fine. Right. But it's interesting, isn't it? Baz wants to talk to you later about it. Was it the whole team or not?
There was an incident with 2 northern football teams, actually.
Oh, 2 football teams?
You did all 22?
Yes, OK, fine. It's Jayne, it's a fascinating book, and people, if they didn't know that it was true and you hadn't come here, they wouldn't believe it. They just wouldn't believe it. Thank you very much indeed, ladies and gentlemen, again for Jayne County. Now, a little entertainment. We've had a contortionist on the programme before. In fact, when I think about it, there are only 3 contortionists, professional in this country, and we now have had 2 of them on. In fact, the other one left is the sister of the one we have on tonight. Cousin. I knew it was a relative. So please would you welcome, doing a routine that she has worked out specially for the James Whale show, Daniela Zocchi. Daniela, that was very... I was going to try and talk to you on the move there, and I just really couldn't decide which end to speak to. So, apparently you do get some very strange requests from young men.
Sometimes.
And do you, what, you slap them or kick them, or...?
I just ignore them.
Good for you. And where do people ask you to go do this? Because you make your living doing this, don't they?
That's right, yeah.
You don't do it in a circus?
No, I don't do it in the circus. Mainly clubs and theatres.
Mm-hmm. And what's the most... I heard you clunk a bit on the floor. Did you hurt yourself?
No.
You sure?
Yeah.
OK. I mean, later in life, when you get old like me, you see, and most of the crew around here, you think you're going to have bad joints or not?
No, I don't think so.
You don't think so?
Not, no.
Yeah? What is the most enjoyable movement you do? It's a serious question. And no, you can't watch. I'm just, you know.
I don't know.
Do you like them all? Do you enjoy when you enjoy it, or is it hard work?
It's just hard work.
It
yeah.
is it? OK, Daniela Zocchi, ladies and gentlemen, 1 of 53. Thank you. That's lovely. Thank you very much. Great. OK, and we've got to get a shot over here just before we move on. This poor guy. Are you all right? He's wetted himself practically at everything we've done so far. Are you all right?
I'm fine.
Are you sure? I thought, because if you pass out from sort of apoplexy or something like that, I don't know. Yeah, Jerry said he'll buy you a drink later, but just...
Nice boy.
Are you all right as well? Yeah, because, you know, I was surprised you were prepared to sit here in the front row without your clothes on and stuff like that, but you feel OK?
Yeah, great.
Yeah? Good. Yeah? And this bloke hasn't been sort of touching you on the back or anything like that, has he? Because I've seen he's been getting excited since you sat there, and when you go away, he's not that excited.
Yeah, I had a little problem before.
Did you?
but
I think
it's
you
okay.
could deal with him anyway. Yeah, yeah. It is only a little problem as well. Yes, OK, fine. Thank you very much indeed. Nice round of applause for one of our Dreamboy friends who are here with us tonight. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, the critic with all the hot gossip, Mr. Baz BamigBoye. Here's Bazzy.
Hi, James.
Hi.
If I'm allowed to, I'd just like to say that I thought Jayne County was a very interesting guest, the happiest person I've seen on the show in years. Anyway, let's go on to the movie.
Yes, I
which
have to
is
agree with you, Baz,
which
yes.
is called Clockwork Mice. It stars Ian Hart. He's a young British actor who I think is a big leading man in the making. He was John Lennon in Backbeat. Remember that film last year about the early days of the Beatles?
In Berlin.
In Berlin,
In Berlin.
absolutely. Anyway,
Yes.
Good actor. He's in this film. He plays a teacher.
It was sad, that film.
It was sad and
It
had
was
some poignancy. A little sad, I'd say, but there you go.
Because I didn't realise that guy ended up in such a nasty way. He was sort of committing suicide or...
Well, Stuart Sutcliffe.
Yeah.
Well, Stuart Sutcliffe, well, he had sort of something wrong with his
Yeah.
cancer or something, and he died
But it was
young.
a very sad movie.
It was kind of sad. Anyway, there
Anyway.
you go. This would make an interesting movie. Am I allowed to say that?
Yeah, I think it
Good.
would. Yes, Jane's book.
Anyway, happy story. Anyway, back to Clockwork Mice, which stars Ian Hart. It's set in a special needs school in England, and you sit there watching this film, you think, God, any moment he's going to be revealed as being a rapist or a guy who abuses kids, but he doesn't. He's just a regular teacher who wants to do well by his pupils. It's a lovely, charming, little British film.
Yeah. If you were to read the synopsis of this, you wouldn't think that would make an interesting...
No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't.
It would be a sad film.
You wouldn't. And
Yeah.
interestingly, there's a little bit of cultural interest here. It stars John Alderton playing the headmaster, and of course, you couldn't help but feel, if you're of a certain age,
Please, sir.
Please, sir. But
Please,
anyway,
sir.
why don't we show?
Shall we see a clip?
Yeah.
Let's have a look.
So why cedarwood?
It's a challenge.
So you went from teaching brats to shits.
Emotional behavioral disorder.
Yeah, shits.
It's not a soft option teaching one boy, you know. Welcome to special school education.
If you really want to know how to teach these kids, make them realise that you have things that are far beyond their dreams.
We swing on girded hips. Enlightened are our eyes. The rain is on our lips. We do not run for prize.
Great arse.
Well, there we are. It has that sort of... It looks as if it's quite powerful.
It's a nice movie, and, you know, he plays a teacher who strikes up a relationship with this young kid who has some problems, and it's Poignant is the word of the day, I think, in the studio.
Yes, OK, good. And I'm glad you're happy about that film. Anyway, right, because, you know, so often you don't like the films.
No, I hate most movies I see, actually.
Really?
But I like some of them.
So when people say it must be great to be a critic going to the movies the whole time, it's not.
You know, after sitting through some movies, I'd rather have all my teeth pulled out, you know? but that makes it all the better when you see a great movie. It's very pleasant, very satisfying. This is a lovely little film.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Baz BamigBoye. Yay! There we are. I see we have a new painter with us tonight, who's another Simon, and that's all rather interesting. Very interesting.
It's interesting. I love his freedom of expression.
Yes, you've got a lot of freedom there, Simon. A lot of freedom.
Yeah, I like that.
Yes,
I like it. It's happy. It's a little sad.
Yeah.
But happy.
It's generally freedom.
I'm glad he's allowed to express his artistic views.
Yes, fine, it's good. Before we go to the break, let me remind you of the competition. There is a question which is, it's a little difficult, all right, but we don't want to make things too easy for you. And if you win, you could have that holiday for 2 people for a week, either in the Canaries or the Mediterranean. All you have to do is answer this question. Which of the following birds weighs the least? Is it a pair of ostriches, a pair of turkeys, or a pair of tits? Call us on 0891 48 49 50. What schoolboy humour is? And the phone lines are open till midnight on Sunday. Join us again in a few minutes. Welcome back. You know, that takes poor old Keith here a lot of hard work to do that, and I thought a whale cam here like this one could do it just as well. So if you watch that, look, OK, you know, clap a bit while I'm doing this and make it so... Yay! Even cheaper TV. Even cheaper TV. It's excellent. Right, welcome back. Simon's painting's very nice, Simon. Baz whispered in my ear. What was that? Matisse. Matisse. But I think it's a Simonish painting. And it's one you could have on the wall of a corridor.
Absolutely. I'd almost
You
like
know.
it myself.
In fact, yes, maybe in your paper could buy that.
Absolutely.
You could have it in reception.
Put it in...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sign it down there somewhere, Simon, and we'll sell it 15% to us of whatever we get.
Very nice.
Now, the last Simon painting went for something like 450,000.
Kidding me.
No, absolutely. 450,000. Yeah.
Hey, good on you.
Yeah. Anyway, let's have a bit of music in a moment. Just before we go back to the music, which of the following birds weighs the least? Is it a pair of ostriches, a pair of turkeys, or a pair of tits? Ring us on 0891 48 49 50, and the lines are open till midnight on Sunday. OK, shoes on or off?
They're off.
Are you sure?
Yes.
OK, well, let's hit the music. Miss Judith Sim and Mr.
You're back in town. You're on the move again, in search of something new. Better beware, you're the one with grade A infidelity. You have first-class distinction in pure promiscuity. You know just what to say. It's the same old scene every day. Know just what to do. Oh, look at you, Mr. Just who do you think you are? Think you are? Mr. Are push it oh so far. Mister, do you think you're a star? 'Cause we know what you really are. And girls, there are just two kinds you've ever met. Undressed, unimpressed, or they just haven't realized yet. Would you carve up your big personality? Or would you sell it in bottles so we'd have a chance to be you? Oh, you for a day. Learn what to think and what to say. How could we refuse? 'Cause we've everything to lose. Oh, Mr. Jazz, who do you think you are? Think you are? Mister, do you think you're gonna push it out so far? Mister, oh, do you think you're a star? 'Cause we know what you really are. Yes, we know what you really are. We know what you really are. Mister, get what you want. Mister, get what you need. We know who you really are. Who you really are. Oh.
Whoa! Thank you. The delightful Judith Sim and Mr. That's so nice in a little glade. It's Simon. What are you doing? But Simon, we're nearly. Get a what is? Simon, we're not going to have time for you to paint the floor, Simon. I'd like you to paint the floor, poor Simon. Goodness sake. Never mind. Right now, by employing the principles of feng shui, it is possible to transform any environment into one that supports us all. Okay? One which will improve our relationships, our finances, our children's lives, our health, our career, and even our learning ability. And here to tell us all about it, please welcome Sarah Shurety. Do I pronounce that right, Sarah? Sarah? Shurety. Shurety.
That's it.
Sarah
Well done.
Shurety. That's very, very, very good, Sarah. Thank you very much indeed. Now, tell me all about this. This is a lot of people say, oh, it's a hocus pocus, and it's all like that. It's big companies, big companies employ a feng shui artist or
a feng shui consultant.
Or a feng shui.
If you're from northern China, it's feng shui.
Right.
So it's actually...
Walk with me as you talk and see if you get the feel of the place, anything we need to do.
Okay. Well,
Let's pretend. I'll tell you what we do. Let's pretend I have employed you to come here and help sort this awful mess we call a studio out.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
What do we do?
Well, we would normally start having a chat and asking some questions and finding out how your life is progressing, what areas need some attention and what areas are going extremely well.
Fine, okay. Well, we'll leave the audience for a moment because that always needs work.
Yes.
But just to walk around here. This is the sort of main hub of activity here.
Yep.
And sometimes, sometimes this does lack a little bit and needs, who am I to say, it's not always perfect.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, where you start is usually at the entrance, and actually there's a couple of things that could be giving you difficulties here.
Right, okay.
First of all, that area over there is actually the relationship area.
Let's go over there. Let's see if we've got some light.
There?
Can we walk over there? Yeah, the relationship area. Yeah, we usually have our musical guests in around this bit.
It's
There's
right.
not much room in the studio. It's probably one of the smaller studios.
Yes.
Okay.
But actually, we need to go even further into this corner.
Can we get a shot over here? It's badly lit, but... Well, not badly lit, it's just not lit. Okay? Right.
Right,
In
okay.
case the lighting director is quite... Yeah.
This area over here
Yes.
is the relationship area. And what you've got is an area that's slipping away. So this is going to... This could give you difficulties with relationships amongst...
This is the door.
Everybody, really.
It's slipping
the
away
door,
because it
yes.
slips down to street
It's
level.
sloping down.
Yeah.
And it really influences every kind of relationship, partnership. So it would be...
Back into the light.
The
sorry.
profile,
Yes.
yep.
Okay.
It would be the profile of
Right.
James Whale's sort of identity. It would be how you would get on with your guests,
Okay.
with the audience. making it a little hard to control.
So I shouldn't have them coming in there?
Well, the entrance is over here.
Right, OK.
It makes no difference whether they come in this area or not. It's sloping away. What you need is something heavy.
Yes.
To stop it slipping away, you need something like something reddish, which strengthens that area.
Jerry, come stand over here. OK.
Of course it's slipping away.
It's not red.
It is.
Jerry,
it's a bad place
and the entrance is the door, isn't it? I mean,
Jerry, stand over there. OK. No, Jerry, so what you're basically saying, if we were designing this building, don't have a ramp in that corner.
No, don't have a ramp in that corner.
Good. Right, that's one. No, that's interesting. You stand there because you're red and heavy. What's the next thing?
Right, OK, well, there's a couple of things. You've got your audience in the wealth area. This means...
They are in the wealth area?
They're in the wealth area.
That's enough of a shot of them, thank you. Yes, OK.
So this means, ideally...
Yeah.
Good places... That's not a very good place to have the audience. You're better having the people, your audience, either in the area that relates to helpful people, which is over here.
That's where helpful people are?
Yes.
The audience would be better over there. Could we move the audience over there or not? Can the audience get up and move over here, or is that going to be too... no, you better stay there. Yeah, OK, leave them there for time. But next time, we'll put the audience there.
It also relates to travel, and it has some influence on this area.
Right.
Where
I'm based over here, yes, OK.
Where you're based.
Come over here, Simon.
This is actually...
sorry, over there, Simon. No.
Standing on your work of art.
That's all right. He's done his work of art over there. He's just doodling. Yeah.
Right.
Have my chair. Have my chair. If you feel free. There's Baz and
absolutely,
Kooki.
yes.
Yeah. OK.
Yeah. So I'm always fancy.
Yes. Good. Good. And you've got one. Yes.
Right. OK. So this area where you are here is actually the knowledge area.
This is the knowledge area.
This is the knowledge area.
We got something right. Yes.
But well,
no, we
it's
didn't.
a good place to be. But for you, actually, I would think it would be better to either be over there. That's the fame area.
Where my name is in big letters.
Where your name is in big letters.
Not a bad place to have your name in big letters.
It's wonderful. It's a very good place to,
good. I thought
to have your name.
Yeah. Good.
It's slightly off-centre. It could do with more lights. It could do with a mirror would be very good in that area. But I understand that can be difficult. When you're broadcasting, it might reflect things that shouldn't.
Yes.
You're meant to be in that corner, being red and heavy.
Yes. Jerry, stop heckling the guests, will you? We don't have guests here for you to take the mick out of. Stop it. I'm sorry.
Being serious.
OK.
What a gentleman.
Do they take this seriously in the House of Commons yet? Because they could do with being turned around. I mean, I bet they didn't have a feng shui person go there when they first built it.
I suspect they didn't.
No.
But it's really... Let's see, I mean, big companies do use feng shui.
No, I know.
It's really the Bank of England, Marks and Spencer's.
Yeah. A lot of big companies all employ people like you to go along and say, how should we build this? Should we point it this way, or should we move it that way, or whatever? It's a serious point, isn't it?
That's right. There are also things you can tell when you go into an office who's going to take over whose job, who might be in a situation where they could... if embezzlement were going on, in which area it would be, you can tell who's going to be promoted and who's in the strongest position, all on the layout of the office.
So how do you actually do that? I mean, what sort of principles? Is it a bit like...
Right, well, it's a Chinese philosophy. It was actually derived around about 3,000 years BC. There's a chap called Fu Xi who actually started...
Go on.
Started working on this, this subject, right.
OK, well, move with me right here, because we're into Jerry Hayes' time now, which doesn't bother me at all.
3 minutes.
But we've got 3 minutes of programme left, and he's upset about it.
I'm not upset. I'm not going to throw wobbly.
Hang on just a minute, because he wants psychology. Hang on, he wanted to say that he thinks Margaret Thatcher's going to get re-elected again.
No, she's not taking her medication. I keep saying to her, poor woman.
No, you would talk. She could be your mother. Don't talk about her.
She couldn't be my mother.
Anyway.
We love her, though.
Yes, you do. Right.
We love her.
And do you not believe in all this?
Actually, it makes a lot of sense, actually. It makes a lot
Don't
of sense.
throw out my shot.
Sorry, but you look so nice. No, it does. It makes a fair bit of sense, actually.
Lots
but, I mean,
of it is actually, it's really steep.
But it's just, it's unfortunate you should be in the studio, because, I mean, you said, this is the down area, it was a ramp, and this is the door. Well, you did have sort of exit over the top.
But she's not...
No,
you're missing the whole point.
I know.
How thick MPs can be.
Do
you know
that? You can move the door, but it means just the way this room's been derived and how you're using things, it's the wrong function. And you can do things to correct that energy.
Why
But
don't you
you'll
come to
see,
the House
I
of
just
Commons?
had
Why don't
one
you
of the-
come to the
I'd
House?
love to.
Why don't
I'd
we go
love
to
to.
the House of Commons together?
Shall we go
And
now?
James can come up. We can go now. Oh gosh, you can hear Mike. We're winding up, are we?
Yeah. Go on.
And you can tell us where we got it in the right place, and also you can tell us if there's going to be any changes in personnel, and that could be useful.
Could you do
couldn't
that by looking at it or not?
Yes, I could.
You could. Could you by
very
by asking him? Move back just a bit.
Yeah,
So
okay.
you're just fading my space.
it's this one.
Yeah. If you actually found out his birth date and everything else, because you found that out about, you said I like trees, or I'm a
Well,
tree.
you use a kind of Japanese astrology which has very down-to-earth, matter-of-fact implications, and it's really based on what things are going to support you. And you are a 4 tree, which means, you know, your energy, you're an initiator.
Oh, yeah.
You're really, lots of energy.
Tree. I like trees.
Well, this, you see,
I
the
like trees.
Chinese people,
Yeah, that's good.
they associated things, because they were an agrarian culture, they associated things, they didn't say...
If I tell you, what's your birthday?
April the 20th.
1953. Okay.
53. Oh, there isn't coming. I need my
It's Hitler's
pen and
birthday,
paper.
Hitler's
Where's
birthday.
Simon?
Here, have a pen and
That's
paper.
right.
There we are.
Oh, great,
okay,
thank you.
Right,
Oh,
okay.
go on. Oh, we'll just
Right,
throw
we
that
just
away.
work it out. I saw you
Okay.
playing noughts and crosses.
That's right.
Is that right?
April
Yes.
53.
3. Okay.
Right, so it means...
You can do this at home. Yes.
Okay, I'm not going to go into great details.
No.
Don't go into
You're
great
actually what's known as a two-soil, which means actually you're very nurturing, very supportive, very caring. You need a lot of nurturing and support yourself.
You
too.
are not
You
kidding.
have a little bit of a whinge now and then.
Yeah,
But,
yours. This is good
that's
stuff.
fine. Very
Yes.
detail-minded, though.
Yeah,
It's really...
yeah.
It'd be very good for you to settle down. Some people are quite happy to be single and on their own, but for you, married life is really is quite important.
Believe it or not,
It is. You don't realise how accurate this is, actually.
he has been married for a long time. And
It's to James, but we don't
James,
talk about it.
yes. Go on.
I can do some
Got 30 seconds.
That's okay. I won't do that. Shall
All
we do a I don't know.
No, that's okay. Go
Okay.
on.
30 seconds.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm meant to be doing here, actually. I've worked out that... Well, I could give you a bit more information.
Yeah.
This year for you, it's good for small projects.
Small
It's good for
projects.
doing nothing.
Instead of-
Last year
Yeah.
was a bit blocked.
Yes.
Just slowly. Be careful of your health.
The year after next, it's an election. We know it's a foregone conclusion that he's out. But is there any? Could you say anything about that?
Yes, I'd say that
Yeah.
it's a foregone conclusion.
Would you like to go to the house with him sometime and sort it out?
Yeah, I'd love
Thank
to.
you. Talk about it. We'll be
Great.
back next
We
week,
will.
same time. Thank you very much indeed for joining us, and have a wonderful weekend. This is good stuff. We'll see you later. So you should do that next time. Take him along to the take him to the house. But what about me?